Sometimes in life, you will find yourself stuck in the mud of indecision, the dilemmas and predicaments where you feel trapped and unable to make a decision as to what will be the right thing for you to pursue. I like to think about difficult decisions or indecisions as lying in three distinct categories. Indecisions due to allure of the senses, indecisions due to desires of the mind, and indecisions due to the word or the wisdom of the discriminating intellect. So, material world, when the Atman or the soul incarnates as a body, the physical body, it takes these three distinct subtle body elements in it, and that forms our personality. So let's start with the decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis based on suggestions from the environment. When you see a cookie lying on the kitchen counter, or you see a dessert when you go to a restaurant, or you see something that is extremely palatable that might give you a sugar high, that might be very tantalizing, tempting, you want to have that object. This is most applicable for the senses, hence the sensual indecisions or the dilemmas. So once you know the origin of the indecision, which category does it belong to? Does it come from my senses? Does it come from my mind? Or does it come from my intellect? It becomes very easy to answer and pursue the right thing. In general, sensual gratifications are seeking short-term pleasure, the dopaminergic pathway, the instant gratification, the preya in Kathopanishad. So these things we have to shun because short-term gratification will mar the ability to pursue long-term gratification or shreya. And shreya is considered higher than the instant gratification of preya. GABA is higher than dopamine. If this is your mindset, like that of a yogi, like that of Arjun, who is constantly fixated at the eye of the parrot, his destination, and not the detours that come in his way, it's easier to say no. Now, senses, since they protect you, and when there's nothing to protect, they start asking you to feed them, and you becoming your servant instead of them being your servant to protect the physical integrity so that life, biological life, can go on. You become their servant, and that is what they are demanding when they are asking you to eat a cookie or eat things which are probably delicious but are not good for your body, might add obesity, metabolic syndromes, might just make you feel worse afterwards. Same thing applies for smoking, drinking, video games, people who play excessively. All these things are causing a surge of dopamine in your body, and they make you feel good, at least for some time. I would say more so sugar and smoking and drinking for sure. Once you come in the zone of addictions such as gaming, gambling, day trading excessively, or even sex, too much of sex, fixated about PMOs, then you are in the range of Swadhisthana, definitely migrating from the sensual cravings into the mental desires. So that's a very soft transition point. So it's hard to discriminate and tag it in a particular arena, but they're definitely in the flux from senses to the mind, and hence you can treat them as originating from the senses because they are bringing sensual gratification. Anything that has to do with dopamine can be considered close to sensual gratification. And how do they manifest when they're not in your environment? Because I told you the biggest trigger, what Cialdini in his book Persuasions calls social cues, the biggest triggers that are set off are by association. Those items have to be present in the environment to trigger a response in the self to go chase them, consume them, and in the process get consumed. So, whether it's a beautiful girl that triggers the idea of embracing or having sex, or whether it's a delicious, mouth melting cookie that invites you to try the cookie and feel good by eating it, in all these things, there is the object of sensual gratification, what we call indriyarteshu or guneshu, which is already present in your near environment. So the idea triggered here is that of temptation. Object is present, in reach, you are free, bored probably, and you just want to try it, experience it, as we call it. And the other kind that can come and torment you is in the form of craving. Because of the past associations, the past indulgences, because of the past multitude of times we have given in to our temptations, even when the object is not present in the environment, it triggers a center in the brain that says, hey, buddy, it's been a while. You remember you haven't eaten any cookies. Why are you just destroying your life, living in abject misery? Why are you just denying yourself of all these pleasures? Why are you becoming so austere? Go eat a cookie, nothing will change. So all these mind games that your mind plays are based on the subconscious samskaras. The conscious temptations become subconscious predilections or samskaras because of repeated contact of the senses with the objects of sensual gratification. That's why I've said in the past, when you get cravings, you should be happy because you have already eliminated the object that was causing damage to you. You have already gotten rid of all the junk food in your cabinets in the house. So now you feel the urge to eat it. There can be suggestions from other individuals eating around you. An alcoholic will always get tempted to go back and start drinking. When someone is drinking around them, that's why they're asked to remain in circles or friends who have stopped drinking, because that's kind of the support group. You want someone to suffer with you, be in the same boat with you, but suffer with you. And then there is this validation that you're not alone. There are other people with you who have gone through the similar experiences, but since you're together, you are in it to win it. And that is the mindset of a yogi. That is the mindset of tapas. That is the mindset of an austere individual who is cleansing his senses of these indriyarteshu or objects of sensual gratification, which are constantly lingering on to them and preventing us from progressing in the path of spirituality. So, my friends, temptations and cravings. When in the environment, they are temptations. When the objects of sensual gratification are eliminated from the environment, When I say object of sensual gratification, just think of the five senses. For the eyes, it could be something very visually pleasing, a beautiful girl or a beautiful picture in a magazine, something that just turns you on, um, or just watching too much documentaries and stuff which are you feel riveted to. For the ears, it could be music. It could be stuff that you just love listening all day long, even if it is not going to add anything to your sadhana. For the tongue, of course, is the taste, and I don't need to tell you about all the cookies I constantly talk about. For the skin, it can be touch. So the sensation of touch is, of course, a very strong sensation. It can bring a certain sort of peace and calmness when you're touched in a certain way, or it can arouse you into certain mindsets. Similarly, the sense of smell, it can arouse you into certain moods depending upon the suggestion presented by the aroma. So these senses are attached to these modalities and objects of sensual gratifications once they are present in the environment, for sure. But even when you live a life of solitude, they will constantly come back to you, because these are like the shooting stars, the cravings that are trying to light up one last time. Like, hey, buddy, I'm dying, but look at me. And they just like go with like a shooting star in the sky before they die, the one final show. And maybe they can captivate you before they die. And that is how subconscious samskaras die. They act out in your dreams. That is the last place they hide, because they cannot attack you when you're awake. They wait for your consciousness to go into dormancy in sleep, and in dreams they'll come back and make you do certain things or make you wish certain things, and then you wake up and say, hey, why did I dream this thing? If these are subconscious samskaras from the last life, then you feel totally alienated and kind of befuddled, bamboozled, like, what's going on? Why did I dream this thing? I don't think about it consciously all day. Well, you don't think about it, but your subconscious samskaras, the imprintings from your past life, have not left you. They are part of the book of karmic logbook that you're carrying from one life to another until you burn out all your samskaras. You can burn it by tapas, you can burn it by kumbhak pranayama, you can burn it by nishkam karma, you can burn it by absolutely witnessing the experiences and not identifying yourself with those experiences. So remember, they will come as temptations when they're surrounding you. When they're not surrounding you, they'll come as cravings, past recollections, suggestions, like maybe you should go and take a puff of cigarette. It's been a long time. And the senses will love that first puff because it has been so long. It's just like you eat after intermittently fasting for a day, or you take the first sip of alcohol after not drinking, being a teetotaler for a long time. So that is how they attract you and hijack your mind, the cravings. What happens when you have led a life of austerity, the three yogas and the panch pratyaharas that I have talked about, and that has led to you having zero temptations? You have cleaned your environment. You live a life of a monk in solitude or with people with like-minded attitudes. And you have no cravings, because now the shooting star has already had that last show before it subsided and died. It's a dead star. No temptations, no cravings, and the last place to hide, as I said, is the dreams. So they attack you in the dreams, but the yogi is the guy who has even control on his dreams. He erases all your dreams. I have talked about this before. It's just part of your natural progression, natural history of overcoming temptations, desires, things that make you weaker than you should be. the son of Shiva, the daughters of Parvati. So the song of the soul is the song of the Paramatma, who is a witnesser in his most pure form. And every now and then he becomes enjoyer, and the enjoyer traps him in this realm of dopamine. So they erase all their dreams. A yogi has no dreams. He sleeps in strong N3 delta sleep. He goes in the slow wave sleep, which is devoid of any dreams, because there are no hankerings, there are no cravings, there's nothing that befuddles his mind, there's nothing that tortures his senses. So, my friends, that is how you know what are things that are most immediately wanted out of you, because either they are part of the karmic logbook as subconscious samskaras, or they are part of your environment as the conscious brain is trying to be retrained and suggesting that you should use smoking, alcohol, drinking, drugs, or just food, because sugar in itself is a form of cocaine. They say sugar is more addictive than cocaine, and there is some truth and validity to that idea, because it's very hard to get rid of sugar in your life, as hard as getting rid of sex in certain cases. So, my friends, those are the dilemmas, temptations, cravings. Well, you have to make a decision when you see them. That's why I included them as the sensory platform of decision making. Come to the next plane. The next plane is that of the mind. In just like Krishna says, mind is the highest version of the senses. So it's not very different from the senses, but is a more higher, purified, dignified version of seeking something. And instead of temptations and cravings in the realm of the mind, I use it to describe activities that are happening at the level of Manipura. When they're happening at the level of Muladhara, they come as cravings. When they happen at the level of Swadhisthana, they come as temptations, indulgences, luxuries, comfort creatures. And when they rise above the basic needs of Muladhara, aka cravings, and they rise above the tempestuous suggestions coming from Swadhisthana, the sacral plexus of temptations, then you arrive at Manipura. This is the highest chakra you can get to, mostly a chakra in the lower three chakras, mostly a chakra of doing things, sakam karma, nishkam karma, karma in general, things where you rise above the sensual platform more than just gratification, instant and constant gratification, the selfishness that is self-loathing in the end, is Manipura. It's the power of the sun, the power of brisk transformation. Remember, the senses are dissolving you slowly, like water dissolving the salt. Very slow. That's why addictions are so hard to pinpoint. You don't know if you got addicted to smoking when you took the first puff, or the second puff, or the third puff. Well, in case of Manipura, things happen very rapidly, and you can tell the point of transformation. Just like you can tell the darkness from light when there is sunrise. Everything that happens with the sun, everything that happens with the Pingala pathway in your life is the path of sudden transformation. Suddenly you have changed. And those are the powers that carry the risk of burning. What can enlighten you, what can throw light on you, can also burn you if it's too fast. And you can't handle the rapidity of energy that is being transferred to you. So water does its actions slow dissolution by constant surrender, like Bhakti Yoga, whereas sun does its activities by rapid transformation, that of Karma Yoga. So, in the realm of mind, the indecisions that can arise can be from passions, ambitions, pursuits, desires, and to some extent expectations. These are the emotions that will grapple you and drive you into indecision because you have a stronger sense of identification with those goals. As a wife, you might feel it is my duty, and see how they are getting kind of blurring into each other. It is my duty to serve my family, my husband. And again, that can sometimes feel as your zone of identification. However, that is not a desire. That is not a desire, that is not an expectation, that is not an ambition. It probably is not a passion. And so it is not arising from the mental plane. It is arising from the plane of ego, which somehow lies in between the mind and the intellect. Because ego itself is an assignment of what is not present due to the delusionary forces of Maya. So I would not include perceived duties based on ego as in the realm of mind or in the realm of intellect. They are in the realm of ego. So let's talk about desires arising from the mind. Well, patriotism is one of them. Professional goals, meeting your professional goals, or serving the family, serving the community. These are all desires. Sometimes as a grown-up individual in your 30s, you want to help your parents. You want to help your siblings or your kids. Now, again, it's getting blurred because a lot of this arises from a sense of duty. And that will push it into the realm of intellect. Because intellect is all about what is the right thing to do when you're presented with a situation. In a dilemma, in decision phase, you have to make a decision. Now, is it based on clubbing and extinguishing your existing desires and passions? If the answer is yes, then it is arising in the mental plane. Let's try some other examples. Another example would be you had to you wanted to go for another job, a higher position on the corporate ladder that will lead to better professional growth, but you could not do that due to certain reasons. So here you have extinguished that desire to be a more powerful person in a powerful position or making better financial wealth. For whatever reason, you traded that decision against yourself. Or not following your passions. That is hard. If you identify with certain goals, and that's the reason for you living, then it's hard not to follow them. Similarly, ambitions. You want to be a certain individual. You want to do certain things. When they have not been done, until they have not been done, abdicating them feels like a loss of your self-worth and a loss of your goals in life. And what kind of person leads a life devoid of purpose and goals? So my friends, the zone of mental indecisions is the zone of extinguishing desires, passions, ambitions, and they can be very hard to pinpoint because they are in a flux from the senses into the intellect. So it's very hard to trap them, but whenever you think that something that is tempting you or asking you to take action or decide on an undecided subject based on desires, passions, ambitions, you have to know they're arising in the mental plane. And the third plane is the intellect plane. The intellect plane doesn't require you to have a desire, expectation, doesn't require you to have a temptation or craving. It just comes to you. Your parents are growing old. They have raised you all your life. They have made you such a good lawyer, doctor, engineer, a person of high net worth, a person, they sacrificed a lot while you were growing up. You're a simple middle class family, and look at you now, you have made a world for yourself. You are happy with whatever professional accomplishments you have had in your life, thanks to the education and the nurturing as a kid. Now your parents are growing old. They don't ask for your help, but you can see they're growing old, and it would probably be better if you stuck around and lived with them, or they lived with you. And that sense of comfort that comes to us because we are doing our dharma, See, we are not talking about karma anymore. In the mental plane, we're talking about karma, whereas based on desires. To now, we are talking about dharma, which is a reactionary recoil of the karma based on what was done to us. The moral righteousness. What is the right thing to do? What would Jesus say? That mindset is in the mindset of delineating intellect or buddhi and is best categorized as dharma. Always follow the principles of dhamma in Buddhism, or dharma in Hinduism, which means do the right thing as a neutral observer would do, because that is the closest you can get to the soul or the Atman status, the witnesser. The witnesser has no angles. So activities done like the judges passing verdicts, they are in the realm of dharma. So anytime you are in inaction and you don't know what is the right thing to do, employ and recruit the concept of dharma. See if that decision is rising from wanting you to rise from a position of neutrality, and then make that decision. What would I do if I was not in this body and having an angle and inclination to profit from this situation? Because when you try to profit from something, you are in the mental plane. When you're trying to do the right thing, regardless of profits and losses, then you are in the intellect plane. So, realm of the dharma is what is the right thing to do. If you are seeing a poor person, the right thing is to give him an apple, a fruit, something to let him just eat. He should not die hungry. When you see someone, a client or a customer, it's almost 5 o'clock, you have to hit out of the door, but you think that this person really needs this assignment to be completed by you, some paper documents that you need to fill, you take the 2 additional minutes and listen to him and get his work done. That is dharma. When you go to a temple and find poor people sitting outside the temple, you feed them. Love people, feed people, serve people. Neem Karoli Baba's dictum is based on dharma, because when people are unloved and they are hated, they will create the negative vibes in the world. So you gotta neutralize it with love. Feed people, because hunger brings out the worst in us. Cannibalism can happen when there's extreme hunger, which has happened in the past in the world, in the medieval periods and otherwise. And that just tells you how powerful and how helpless we are to our senses and the cravings. And hence, you have to obliterate hunger. And serving people is helping people in need, who are, when you're in a position of power especially. So anything that you do in the realm of dharma is the highest version. And when you are ignoring your dharma, that is when you get in trouble. The best example is, if you say, one of the best examples is, if you are thinking about, you are in a good relationship, you were in love with your wife, your girlfriend, and now you are having thoughts about your relationship. You are like, hey, I probably deserve better, or I'm bored with this person. This person is nagging and annoying. Well, sir, you decided to stick with this person 10 years ago. You found something attractive in that individual. Was it out of boredom? Was it out of the peer pressure? Was it out of the desire to settle down because everybody else is and you would be left behind in the rat race? Well, in that case, you made a very selfish and stupid decision 10 years ago, but Dharma wants you to cement it. Now you gotta live and make it work, because this is the right thing to do. You don't jump from one place to another. You don't be opportunistic, parasite in your relationships. Make it work, just like an investment. Stick with it, and good things will come in it. So relationships are a place of dharma. You have to stick with the individual you went with, and you have to try to improve it for the most cases. Now, if you can rationalize something that you really hate about that individual, that person is bringing out the worst in you, the person is not helping you grow, evolve, and mature as a human being, and is someone who is not respecting you, Krishna, the Sattva, tells us that you need to make that person feel the importance that you have. But at the same time, your intention, your golden intentions are to make it work. If they constantly diminish you, condescend you, don't see value in what you are, you try to make them realize your value. And if that fails, you leave cold turkey. You make things unpredictable for them. Unpredictability is something humans hate the most. So you have to use it to your advantage. Don't take me for granted. That kind of mindset is again in the mindset of dharma and is very unpredictable because desires are very predictable, the path they want you to follow. Which brings me to the point of predictability. Activities in the realm of sensory indecisions are extremely predictable. When you see a cookie, I know for sure what you're thinking. You are salivating. When you see a beautiful girl, I know what you want to do to her. So the thing is, when you're extremely predictable, you're pathetic. Sensual gratifications make you extremely pathetic, and no surprise, we know what people will do in those situations. Mental indecisions are a little bit more hazy, nebulous. You don't know whether you'll follow through on your desires or not. But the more sensual components they have, the more likelihood of you following through into your passions, desires, ambitions against your good judgment. Think about states of sexual high or sexual rut in which a lot of mistakes are made, even when they should not have been made by very successful people. So those are in the realm of mental indecisions. And of course, the third one was intellectual. So always remember to discard, say no in those points of decision when it comes from the senses. Say no when they come from the point of the mind. But once you've established that the decision that you're making is the realm of intellect, you have to say yes and accept that. Do the more difficult thing. That's one of the ways to know you're doing the right thing. Do the more difficult thing when you have established that decision point is coming from the intellectual stand. So in the realm of intellect, you have to, for instance, stick with your relationship person, because not eat that cookie, you can sometimes bring it to the realm of indecision because, hey, I'll grow fat, I will have the metabolic syndrome, I will be miserable, nobody will love me. And those are the negative warnings, cautionary tales that you can use to do away with the sensual cravings, if you want. So the sensual cravings, they will subside. They have this sudden spike, surge, in which they feel to like capture you totally, but then they go away very quickly. The mind, similarly, monkey mind, it doesn't stay in one place. A little bit longer than the senses, but not perpetually either. So the mind's also, if you don't act on that lusty, anger-provoking, greed-provoking, lust, anger, and greed realms, suggestions, they will move away, especially when you're busy, when you're doing something and not keeping your mind unoccupied all day. But, my friends, if the decision was in the realm of intellect and you ignored it, it will keep coming back and haunting you. You will be filled with regret and resentment. You will become a sour person. Envy is the ulcer of the soul. You cannot live with yourself. In that state, you will have low self-esteem. You will not enjoy. You will not enjoy anything. Even the cookies, as they say, unrequited love. Nothing takes the taste out of peanut butter like unrequited love. Like Charlie Sheen says in 2.5 Men. It's a very powerful statement. Once your mind is unstable, once your intellect is unstable, no sensual gratification will make you feel good about yourself. So you see how you felt hijacked by the sensual gratification? And once you said no, you became more powerful. The more times you said no, the temptations disappeared, became cravings. Cravings disappeared, became dreams. Dreams disappeared, you became yogi. But the more you give into them, the more they make you a servant. So you have to be constantly busy and constantly chasing your dreams. That way, you're not bored to be employing your senses, which will either protect you or try to pleasure themselves or you, identifying yourself as those pleasures, which is not the true case. So, immediate no to sensual gratification will make you stronger. The more times you say no, the more stronger you become. Start with clearing your house, clearing your environment, because predictability, tamasic predictability, is strongest realm of senses. And then, of course, you'll slowly get over the cravings, but be happy when the cravings come, because cravings represent you have overcome the temptations. You're in the second phase of detoxifying from the senses. So the indecisions will slowly disappear because there is no decision to be made. You already know the right answer. You are trying to become the best version of yourself, and you don't want these intoxicating indulgences which deviate and distract you from your future goals. The mental plane will last a little longer. Monkey mind plays with you, tries to get you into the desire. Hey, why are you not pursuing this goal? Why are you not traveling? Why are you not eating stuff that makes you feel good? It tries to create a false argument, but you can rationalize out of it. So it's not that hard. Similarly, for the things that arise from the ego, if they tell you I'm a man, I have to behave in a certain way, I have to do things in a certain way, well, you can bring in the realm of equality, like men and women are equal, all creatures are equal, all animals have a right to survive on the earth. You are not the only person or individual walking this earth, embodiment of soul in the world of Prakriti and Prana. So that mindset will demolish the indecisions arising from the ego. And the last one is the intellect. This one you'll have to live with guilt and resentment all your life if you get it wrong. So my friends, always see whatever decision you're making, is it coming from the realm of dharma, and go for it. Even if it's painful, do that right thing, even in the painful moment, because this is something you'll not be left alone with. It rises in the realm of dharma. It sticks with you forever, at least this life, and then next life as a subconscious samskara. So always do the right thing in terms of dharma. Once you have decided, that decision needs to be made at the level of intellect, because the witnesser is blind, just like Andha Kanun. There is no angle for the soul. It is just a neutral witnesser to all the activities unfolding in the world of Prakriti while we are embodiments of prana and making the right decision. That's how you transcend the senses, the mind, the ego, the intellect, eventually to realize yourself as the soul. So my friends, remember, tamasic tendencies, habitual, predictive, pattern behavior is strongest for senses, a little less strong for the mind, very weak because it's sattva in the realm of intellect, and gunatit, beyond the three gunas, at the level of the soul. So tamasic tendencies, we have to kill them. You have to be becoming less predictable. That's one of the strongest ways of overcoming adversaries or people who seem to be having a dominant hand over you. And over time, when you practice to bracket and box your predicaments, dilemmas, as arising from the senses, arising from the mind, arising from the ego, or arising from the intellect, you are slowly getting closer to your real status, which is that of an Atman, purified Atman, waiting to merge with its father, Paramatman. Hope you like this video. Please feel free to leave your comments below. Jai Shri Ram.